All right. I got 1 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started. I am recording this session, so we can pass this along through our blog or wherever. Today's January 19th, our first one of 2021, our first WebEx meeting. Next meeting will be February 16th, and I believe Chad will do a little presentation on it if I'm not mistaken. So stay tuned for that. Class schedule. We do have a couple of Microsoft Teams instructor-led classes coming up. We have MicroStation Fundamentals, February 8th through the 12th, and we have a GeoPack Road 1, February 22nd to the 25th. Now, these classes are for new people, and they're also for people that need a refresher on things before going to the new software. So if you need any of this, just go out to the mo.u and sign up for the class, and I'll kind of show you how that works as well. You can see at our CAD services page, if you're here, you can go down to the CAD training area, this little button here, and select it. And that'll show you the instructor-led classes that we have out here, and you can manually just go out and select this mo.u to join the class, or you can come down here and click it. Either way, whatever class you want to take. And again, I want to stress that we don't have a limit right now because we're using Microsoft Teams. So if you need a refresher on any of this stuff, now's the time to take that. We also have, again, the mo.u online CAD courses for credit with Concept Station, hydrology and hydraulics, and Power GeoPack, MicroStation Fundamentals, and Road 1. And on the same page, there's a link to all our online videos and manuals. So I just wanted to show that again, so for everybody's convenience. So go back to my PowerPoint. And I just talked about that. Those are the online classes that are available. So you can, again, select them on that page. And today what we have is CAD updates. We have me doing the Open Roads Designer name boundaries plan profile sheets. The last one in December, I did the full plan sheets, and the plan profile sheets is really an interesting one. So we're gonna do that one today. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create the plan and profile sheets. Starting off with, I'm in the corridors file, so I need to create my brand new file. So I will do that, and it's a name boundary file. Again, it's a container file. It's going to contain all the information that we need. I'm going to call this plan, and then I'll do a dash profile. I'm trying to maintain some kind of naming convention. So I got name boundary, the type of name boundary it is, the job number, and then the route that it's covering. Okay, so all that information's in there. I'll hit OK, and it'll create a blank brand new file, completely empty. I'll check in my corridors file. Okay, so when the file's open, I need to change my workflow and change the GCS. So if I go up to my workflow, I go down to reality modeling. That's the first thing I do in a blank brand new file is I want to set the coordinate system. So it's the last icon if you're on the Home tab. And again, there's a couple different ways. You can pick it from a library, or you can pick it from a file that you've already applied it to, which that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the folder I'm working in and pick one that I know has it, which is that corridors file. I'll hit open. Again, it's going to bring up a dialog that lets me select which one I want. Well, they're both the same. Both models are, so I'm good. I'll just hit OK and go with the default. So once that's finished, you can see my system's set up. I can close out of it. Next thing I want to do is reference in the information that I'm going to be cutting sheets off of. So I'll go up to the workflow again, and I'll change that to Open Roads Modeling. And on the Home tab, there's a very In the primary tool set, you'll see that there's a attached tools, and that's the one I'm going to use. I'm going to go out, I'm going to do a tools attach, and I'm bringing across the project, and the project that you want to bring across is the one that contains the corridor. So I'm looking for that corridors for Route 54, and I'm in the wrong folder. It's always good to look at the folder. And we'll go down to my folder that I'm working in, the Data 9. I'm looking for that corridors Route 54. I'll add that in and hit OK. Now I only brought that in because, again, this is a container file, so I'm allowed to use this nesting depth. Works out real well for that. So I'll change it to 1 and hit OK. You'll see the file populate, and all we see in our reference dialog is the one file. But if I do a fit view, you'll notice that all the references come along with it. So I'm seeing my land boundaries file, I'm seeing my ramp 4 file. It's all in there. And the reason this is because I use that live nesting depth of 1 to view the different files that we have and work with them that you've attached. There's a hierarchy button over here on the left. If you open that up, and I'll open it up a little bit so we can read it, you can see it contains the name of the first file that, or the file that we're actively in, and that would be this one here. If you hit the plus sign, it'll open it up to the next file, and this is the file that we attached. And you'll see it has a plus sign as well. So if you hit this plus sign one more time, you're going to see all the different files that makes up our corridors ramp 54. So you're going to see your civil geometry, land boundary, super elevation, everything's in there, okay? And that's all we want to do. We want to be able to use it. We're not doing anything in this file at all. We're just using this as a container file. We're going to create and cut sheets from here. So I've got my references in there. I'm good to go. I'll go ahead and close out of my dialog. Another important thing that you might want to do, and it's totally optional, it's up to you, but turn on and off levels. If you don't turn them on and off, you'll have to go in and turn them off in the cut sheets. So I'm going to do it now. I'll do the level display tool up here in the primary. I'll hit the little level display. Of course, I went to the other screen. And then I will just simply go over to this blue area, right click, and do an off by element, and turn off the things I don't want to see. As in, I don't want to see my template drops in my plan sheets. I don't want to see the corridors. I don't want to see my in condition exception. I see there's a super elevation section being shown. I don't want to see it. There's some 3D lines that came across. I don't want to see those. There's the template drops for ramp 4. And then there's the corridor as well. So I'll turn them off. Then you can turn off your limits of construction or leave them on however you want. I'll go ahead and leave them on for this little demo. So that's what you do, is you clean up all your levels, okay? We're done with that. We want to make sure it's good to go. I'll hit F4. Now we're ready to create name boundaries. But before we do that, we need to open up the profile view along with this plan view. And to do so, you just simply go out into a blank area, right click, and hold for a second. You'll get the menu to come up, the view control menu. And on that view control, what we want to choose is that views plan profile. So we'll select it. It's going to give us this open dynamic profile view. Select OK to create the dynamic profile view. We want to do that, so we'll hit OK. Now the heads-up display tells me to locate the plan element. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this plan element and try to find that Route 54. Once I find my center line, I'll select it. Now it says select or open a view. So I'm going to go over to this view that's been created, and I'm going to left click in there. And it didn't work. So let's try it one more time. View control, plan and profile. Okay, we'll pick the alignment and then pick the view. And it's building it now. I noticed that sometimes it takes a minute. Sometimes it doesn't do it at all, and you just go back and do it again. It seems like it wants this view to be active when you do that, placing it in there. Okay, so now we've got those two views sorted out. We're good to go. Next thing we want to do is we want to go to our Open Roads Drawing Production Workflow. We can go here, and then there's a Drawing Production tab. We'll go out to the area where they're contained, which is in this Name Boundaries field, and this icon is the Place Name Boundary. Okay, first thing I'm going to set up is the plan. So I'm going to select the plan icon, the civil plan. I want a plan profile view, so make sure I pick it from that drawing seed file. Plan view. change my scale to 1 inch equals 50 feet. Everything looks good there. I'm going to go ahead and make my view 1 active, which will allow me to go over and pick the alignment. Once I pick the alignment, it's going to ask me for a start location. I've had it already checked on, so it's going to start it there, but if I come over to the right, hit this locks the start location to the path start. When I do that, it goes right to the beginning of it. I'll leave everything else okay as it is. I will not change the length and the length left and right offsets. You don't want to change those at all. If you go any larger than what it's set, it won't fit in your sheet. Okay, and there is an overlap that I use sometimes, but I'm just, for this demonstration, I'm just going to come out and place some sheets. So what it's telling me to do in the status bar down here is to accept the path that I picked, my start point. So I'm going to left click, and then it's going to want to build the shapes as I go, the plan shapes. And when I get where I want that third shape, just simply left click, and then you have to left click one more time to accept that that's where you want your boundaries. And then there's your 3 boundaries. Everything looks good. Okay, now we got to go back to that tool one more time so we can place the profile. So if I select the name boundary tool again, and we're going to change, right now we're in the mode of civil plan, we want to go down to the civil profile. And here we're going to pick our drawing seed. We want to make sure it says plan profile. We'll fix our seed, our scale, 1 inch equals 50. The method that we're going to use on this is always, well, for this is for plan group, and then we want to make sure it picked our plan of 54. So that's good. Everything else looks pretty good. Our vertical exaggeration, since we're using a 50, it would be 5. If we were using a 20, it would be 2. A 100 would be 10, and a 200 would be 20. And these are in the manual, so you'll see those out there where those exaggerations are set. Okay, other than that, you don't want to mess with anything else. Another very important button is this use active vertical. Make sure that is checked on. That way it'll use it. But what it's want me to do now is make view 4 active and pick that profile. Okay, so when I go out in that profile window, you can see now I have a pick button. And all I have to do is select the active profile, like so. And then when I do, if I zoom out, you can see it's going to place the boundaries out there on my profile. Okay, so one more click accepts it, and there they are, they're placed. Now, you can adjust these vertically. You know, you can move these just up and down. You can't move them left and right, or up station, down station. You can't move that. Right now, all that stuff with movement just really isn't working where we want it. You can move the plan shapes, and it'll recognize that. That's okay. But if you move a plan sheet, this one doesn't move with it. So you're really going to have to be careful on how you do that. To move it vertically, there's a option out here under this pull down that you can adjust the profile, name boundary, and all you can do with it is change the elevation. You can move it around that way. So I'm not going to do it. I'm going to leave it right where it's at for right now. I'm pretty happy that we've got our plan boundaries, got our profile boundaries for those 3 sheets. So I'm going to go to the manager, this name boundary manager, and I'm going to go ahead and plot them. So I'll select that button, a little bitty button up here in this tool set. And then I want to make sure that this show the create drawing dialog is on. If that button's on, then we're allowed to change some of the information that's coming up. And you'll want to do this. If you go ahead and do it without that, it's going to create everything, and it's not going to be right. So you have to come back and rerun them. So make sure that dialog or that button's popped on. You can see your plan groups. We have a 54, Route 54 that we created, which contains 3 different sheets here. You can also see I have a profile group, and we have 3 different profiles. And the reason it says 4, 5, and 6 is because after my tool crashed on me on our WebEx, I wanted to run a couple more tests, and I guess I didn't go back and delete some things to get it back to 1, 2, and 3. So it's okay. It's still giving us 4, 5, and 6. And you could also only plot certain ones. Maybe I only want to plot out this plan 5. I can turn off plan 4, plan 6. Same with the profiles. I don't want to see those. Maybe I just want to do this one sheet right here. And if you do, you just leave that one, your plan selected, and your profile selected, and your overall plan group, and your profile group. And then you can just right click over anything in here, and you can do a create plan profile drawing, or you could pick it from the icon above. I'm going to go ahead and select it here. It's going to bring us to our create drawing. Now this box is powerful. The one on the left, or this information on the left, deals with the plan sheet. So what we want to do is make sure that this is kind of named properly, so that it goes with the naming convention, so that you can plot. If you have spaces and special characters, it will not plot. So we'll do something like this: Route 54 underscore J5P 3181. And I'll do an underscore to separate that. So my route, my job number, and then it's a plan profile. So I'll go plan dash profile, and then I'll do an underscore 1. So this way, there's no spaces in there and anything. Don't put any .dgns in here. It'll apply it on its own. So once we got our naming, and that looks pretty good, we don't have any craziness going on here. We're going to make one sheet per DGN, so make sure this button's on. And then we're going to store it in a plan sheet folder. So I'm going to hit the button. Now underneath data 9, there's this plan sheet folder. I want to select that and hit OK. So now I know that it will store those new created sheets in that folder. So let's get my scales together. I look over here at the annotation group. I want to make sure that that's 1 equals 50. And the other thing is detail scale. It should default to by name boundary, and it did, so we're good. On the profile side of it, I want to change my scale, 1 equals 50, and I want to apply an annotation group to it. If you do not, you will not get any grid work. So we want to do this, and we'll do the the 50 scale, profile 50 scale, and then verify that this again is by name boundary like we have. We're good. Everything looks good. I'll go ahead and hit the OK button, and then we'll create this one sheet. There, it's checking in some documents. And we are getting close. We will update the server copy. And then we will check in the name boundary file that we used to create the name boundary sheets. Okay, so I'm done with this. Well, let me get rid of the information again. We cut sheets in a different folder. You're going to get this it's an informational saying that ProjectWise is updated, so we're good. Close. This name boundary file is no good in this file, so we'll close it out, or dialog. It's no good. But you can see now we actually have our plan here, and we have a profile down below. Now I've got a white background, which is totally optional. You can change this if you want. You can leave it as it is. It doesn't hurt anything if you leave it like it is. So to navigate to the two different models that I have out here, because this is a sheet model, this is the first model. And then you have a drawing model with a plan and a drawing model with the profile. To get to those, you could do it a couple different ways. You can go back to your Open Roads Modeling and then hit the Models tool, bring it up, and you'll see that we have our plan profiles out here, our models. Okay, so if you want to get into a different model, like right now, the sheet model is designated by this white piece of paper. And the drawing models are represented by a folded gray piece of paper. So you got two of those drawing models that make up the one model that we're looking at here, our sheet model. So if I want to go into the drawing model, I can just simply double click on the one that I have here. It will open up my plan model. So I'm going to go ahead and close this tool out. It takes up too much room. So the plan model, here's what it looks like. This is where you would put labels. This is where you put your notes. This is where you put your north arrow, your scales, any kind of thing that you want to put in here. you would put it in this model, okay, the drawing model. And whatever's put in here will be shown in that sheet model. And as an example, I'll just go ahead and put a north arrow out here by going and changing my workflow to a MoDOT CAD detailing standards and making sure I'm into the design tab. Once you select that, you'll see there's some graphic arrows or graphic scales and north arrows. So if I want to place a north arrow, I could do that. I select a north arrow and it comes out. Now it looks like it's straight up and down. I wonder if my sheet's actually straight up and down. I would doubt it. So what I would do is I would hit this F4 key and I would go back to my drawing workflow, and I want to open up my AccuDraw. I want to toggle that on. So it's located here. We'll toggle AccuDraw on. Now we've got this on, we can use it to change that north arrow to where it's supposed to be. So let's go back to that detailing standards. And then let's go back to north arrow. So I'll pick it. Oh, now that I've opened up AccuDraw, you see automatically it changed it to the true. If it didn't, you would just simply click on the banner of AccuDraw and hit V for the view, which would be straight up, or T for true. And then you can place that north arrow wherever you need to put it on your sheet. Okay, so we'll just put it here for right now. Okay, so once I've done that, maybe I put a scale out there, 1 inch equals 50 feet. Grab that as well and populate that somewhere in my drawing. And we're good to go. So now we've got that. I'm going to close AccuDraw out. So we added those two pieces of information, but I want to look at my profile and look at the profile drawing. And if you go down to the bottom left, you got these view commands down here as well. And you've got this, this model selector. And I'll go to the second grayed out paper. This is, it doesn't have drawing on it, but you can tell by the grayed folded piece of paper. If I pick it, it brings me into my profile, and I can do whatever I need to do in here. Add a note, add any information, curve data, or whatever I need to do in here. I could do that. And then when you go back to your sheet model, which is that white piece of paper, and you do that, you'll see anything that you've done to those other models is reflected in the sheet model. You can see there's my north arrow and there's the scale. So that's pretty much how you you create plan and profile sheets. There's a lot more stuff to it that I'll be going over in some videos that we have for Open Roads Designer. And I will go through how to edit these sheets and how to exchange over into different files and move text and do all that kind of stuff. So the question is, how does the plan and profile sheet tool handle severe profiles like we have here, some 8% or higher? How does it handle it? Well, I've cut my plan name boundaries here at the top, and then when I went to place the profile name boundaries like you would normally, what it did was it creates one basic shape, and then it takes the sheets in the front and the back and it shortened them up a little bit so it could fit those profiles in there. Now you could still move them around vertically to incorporate more. Like you got this profile coming right out at the corner here, you could probably drop this down just a little bit and fit this and maybe raise it up a little bit here so we aren't at this extreme. But what it does after you've placed these, and what it is, it shows 5 profiles, but really it's just 3 sheets is what it makes up. So these first 2 profiles will make up sheet 1. The second or the third name boundary would make up the second sheet, and then the last 2 name boundaries, which would be 4 and 5, would make up sheet number 3. And so let me open up what was created and show you how that looks. And I stored them in the plan sheets folder, and I'll go to sheet number 3, and that one you can see it had 2 different drawing models making up that profile, as you can see down here. It's getting ready to let me check that in.
and I'll close the name boundary box. Okay, so here's what you've got. You've got two of them right here, and this is the way it does it at this point in time. So to see those profiles, you would come to the view center where you can look at the different views. And remember, the one with the full white sheet of paper is our plan sheet in the background, and the drawing one is your actual top drawing model for your plan. And views 4 and 5 represent the profile view. So if I go to 4 and open it up, it's going to fit the one here, okay? And then when I go to 5, you'll see the other little piece that makes it up. Okay, so my question was to Bentley is there a way that I can move this last profile drawing to the right a little bit to give them a little separation? And you can. It's just right now it takes a little bit of work. There's a lot of a workaround where you would come into, well, view 5, and you would select this, and you would have to merge in all the information that's referenced in here, merge it into master, and then move it using AccuDraw and staying on the right axis to move it over a certain amount of distance. And then when you go back into your sheet model, you're going to see that this set of information has moved over wherever you wanted it to, but you'll still see legacy data because it's also referenced into here. So you'd have to use your level display tool and turn off the levels in this view so you wouldn't see the double information. It's a workaround. I'll put a video out on that later on that, but I just wanted to show you that you can do these steep profiles. It just handles it a little bit differently. It'll stack them in there on you, and if I go to sheet 1, you'll see the other two that were forced upon itself. And we'll check it in. And sheet 1 shows, here's our grade. Here's the other one that would normally be running into here, but they create it and they put it off to the side. Again, the grid line kind of runs right over itself, so you'd like to move it just a little bit. And, so I got to call out to Bentley on that as well. So that's how it would handle those stacked profiles of very steep grade profiles.